I personally don't see the parallels at all between Brokeback Mountain, other than the fact that we spend a little bit of time in a tent. But each to their own, in terms of how you want. But I do think that there's a bigger question there in the fact that it draws your attention to why do I think that it's not that film? Because that film, to me, when I look at Brokeback Mountain, it's a beautiful film, but it is dealing with the idea of repression. And this film is fundamentally pointed in the opposite direction. So I think, to be honest, I find those comparisons relatively lazy and frustrating. But for the most part, I think that relationship that I have to the film is born out of the fact that it's a celebration of these two men's love, not a kind of film about their repressed relationship with their sexuality.
It did feel like, I don't know if we thought the Brokeback would come, but it wasn't really in our heads at all. When you make a movie, you don't sort of think about comparisons, and I guess there's just a deficiency in this assumption that films with really great actors, well-known actors, playing lovers in a relationship, the previous sort of incarnation of something that can be comparable is 20 years ago. Obviously just shows that there should be more films about the sort of dynamics and the nuances of queer relationships, of relationships that are beyond the sort of beyond the context of what most movies probably deal with. I definitely personally felt that the idea of History of Sound for me wasn't about the complication of their sexuality. That wasn't the problem between them. That wasn't the thing that was going to keep them apart. What was going to keep them apart was the assumption that they might have other loves in their life and that they might come back to each other and there would be more time. But then when David goes to war, he's distracted by an internal suffering, and that becomes a diminishing of him. And Lionel has to work through what happened and why that happened, and when in searching for that answer, he discovers that his very first love, potentially his great love, was also his last love, and that's where our heart and soul as makers was, and so that was never about like, oh, we have to have loads of sex scenes and the world needs to get Paul and Josh their kids off, and they went. Done it before, and they do go on a walking trip through Maine, so unfortunately tents would have to be included in that. And so it's something we feel very strongly about, and very, very proud of how our film is about love in a different context.